Hello, everybody. We continue to work on using program Photopea, that is free online program, which very well substitutes Photoshop and has all features that Photoshop has. And this tutorial is the third tutorial for beginners who want to learn how to edit photos or artworks that are photographed or any digital images. The first was how to crop and to save. The second was how to straighten photo if it is not really perfectly straight. And this tutorial will speak about how to make some basic color correction, brightness, contrast, hues, saturation, some basics. So again, I remind you, we do not open a project, we do not start anything big, we just open, go to the file and open the photo that we want to edit. For example, this. And you can see the photo is quite dark and gray, little bit, like background is definitely not very bright. Probably it was not enough light. So we need to make it a little bit brighter. So what we need to do, what we will use for this, we go to image in the menu and adjustments. And the first important thing that you need to know about is brightness and contrast. This is the basic editing element, and it's very easy to use, and very often it is enough for you for some editing without dramatic changes, when you do not really change your work, but just improve the quality of your photo. So let's see what brightness makes. If you make too bright, you can remove very light parts, but you will have very clear flowers. Maybe you need it like that. And if you add contrast, it even works even more. But in this case, the flowers starts to be not very natural. So be careful with this. So let's try to make it just a bit brighter. And contrast, I would not make too much, maybe just few points. Okay, so, and our work is a bit lighter than before. And now we can press OK. If you press reset, it will be back to the original photo. If you press OK, it will stay edited. Let's compare with the original. And it is much brighter and more clear and more visible. We also can work with exposure. Don't use anything else, only exposure, which also works as making it a little bit brighter and also a little bit more contrasting. So if you really think that you need to make light parts lighter, because you see the wallpaper is really becomes very bright, but it may also helps, and it helps in more in slightly different way. And you may use this. You may use this without using brightness and contrast, or you may use exposure as additional editing after brightness and contrast. So you need to see how it works. Of course, it will be only after trials. first to use exposure, then brightness and contrast, or first brightness and contrast, then exposure. Maybe you don't need exposure. Maybe it will be enough only brightness and very little of contrast. So you decide, okay? So maybe very, very little I will add, okay? And then another thing which I would like to pay your attention is vibrance. When you use brightness and exposure, you sometimes may make lighter some rich colors also, and you want your flowers, for example, to be a little bit more bright, more rich in color. So in this case, let's see, I will make it really much. You see? So in this case, you have back, because it was not that visible wallpaper pattern. If you make more vibrance, the wallpaper pattern becomes more visible, and also flowers becomes more bright and more rich in color. So you can increase vibrance. What makes saturation? Also, either it makes a little bit more rich and darker in color, which in this case we don't need at all, or if you go back, it removes color. It makes sort of black and white, but also for black and white, you can have in the image here, you can have also black and white conversion, which is better to use because it gives you more variety in manipulation. But still you can desaturate and make it black and white if you need it. So usually we don't touch it often, don't touch it much, but vibrance might be really useful, especially if it is something decorative, if it is not having very, very tiny and delicate nuances, but more like here, bright flowers on quite a light background that is not really important, this background to be with delicate nuances, but flowers now becomes more visible, more contrasted on background. So in this case, these options like vibrance and brightness and contrast work really well. So let's press OK. And again, let's compare with the very beginning, the original. So you see, the only thing is that flowers might be not that delicate in nuances, so it may remove, this manipulation may remove tiny delicate nuances of and values of colors, but this is up to you to decide to which extent to make it a more rich and intense, what your goal is. Now I suggest that we may also crop this picture. We go to the already known crop tool, which is on this left side bar. Okay, we click, we have the cross, press left mouse button, make the frame, then move the frame, clicking with the left button on your mouse on these small marks, and dragging the frame as much as you need. Okay, so you make it smaller. Now, if you're happy with the result, you press enter on the keyboard, and we have now this image done and edited. Okay, now the last thing what we need to do is to save it. Remember, it's online program, it doesn't save automatically, so you need to take care of your image. So you need to completed image to export as, again, do you remember which format you select? JPEG. That one that is suitable for any purpose. Again, here we just check that quality is 100%. That's all what you need here to check, and press save. And again, it download to your folder with downloads on computer. Here's our picture, and you can rename it. For example, flowers edited. Especially if you want to put this image, Control X, you cut it, and you go to pictures and Control V and paste it here, the same place, the same folder as your flowers, because you don't need to keep them in downloads. Downloads should be quite clear. Whatever you have here that you don't need anymore, just delete and have your area clean so that you can easily find what you need when you have any extra downloads. So that's what we have done today, and I recommend to take any photo and to play a bit with these tools: image, adjustments, brightness, contrast, exposure, and vibrance. Of course, you can play with any other tool here from this menu and see what is going, how it changes. But for a good quality result, I recommend to practice a little bit with these main three aspects: brightness and contrast, exposure, and vibrance. For today, it is enough for your editing. Good luck.